JJ Inc., and when I'm on planet Earth, I listen to UCY.TV.
Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social slime, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. Caesar shit, force of air. Fuck them back, it's only for they bomb. They shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one thinks gun. Trees, laugh to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgive. Selling lies and buying time, killing people next in line. Lower class and social side, they don't matter. Genocide, sick from water, sick from air. Making money, they don't care. See the shit, force a bear. Fuck them back, that's only fair. They bomb, they shoot, they kill, they massacre, rape. They burn the kids. No one leaves countries. Lie to your face, fight and die. Cause God forgives. Yeah. Coming back around again. Yeah.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Ron Stevens. This is Game On right here on the lovely little network called UCY.TV. And it is Sunday, and it is freezing frickin' cold. Holy lifting, it's cold. Walked up the store to get a coffee, and Lake Huron's at the end of my street. And it's all white caps this morning, and we had a little bit of snow, and that wind coming off the lake is cold, cold, cold. But what do you want for the middle of May? I mean, it's only getting warmer every year, isn't it? Every single year it gets warmer, apparently. And if it gets much warmer, we're going to freeze to death. But then the world's upside down. Everything they tell us is upside down. And we're just supposed to continue to be stupid. Anyways, yeah, it's cold, all right. But see, there's always a good side to everything, right? I got out of Facebook jail last night about the time the show ended. So I'd put up a post about Geldof coming to Canada and telling us that we need to fork up more cash, even though our CEO, PM, Prime Minister, Puppet Man, signed over $785 million to this global fund, which is connected directly to the Bill, Hillary, and Chelsea Foundation. So out of this global fund, of which my countrymen have had $785 million of their dollars stolen and stuffed over to this global fund that is funding the Bill, Hillary, Chelsea Foundation, which makes sense in a way because everything I run into seems to be funding the Bill, Hillary, Chelsea Foundation, be it the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, and my country apparently, are all funding that, which makes sense because we have a Liberal MP, and which would be a Democrat in your neck of the woods down south. And so it would only make sense that our countrymen are funding the Hillary Clinton Foundation, I guess, get her some more money so that she can hire more lawyers or run more for the election. It is so crooked out there, it is absolutely pathetic. But I got out of Facebook jail, and what I got Facebook jailed for, I guess, was the post I put up about Bob Geldof. And because it was very shortly after that I put it up. So I went and fired it out last night after I was out of jail to a few Canadian Facebook sites. And I'm pleased to say that the comments I've been getting have been completely positive. A lot of F you, Bob, take a hike, Bob, suck air, Bob, you're a piece of garbage, Bob, one-hit wonder, Bob, go back where you came from, you friggin' idiot, and so on and so forth. So that's pretty positive. I got some more posts to put in. I may be back in jail before this show is over. Who knows? Facebook jail. And what I like about their Facebook jail, I've been in it several times now, and you can appeal it, just like a real court, eh? I can appeal my sentence. And so I went to their appeal button, and the appeal button says to me, he says, well, could you explain why you think you got thrown in jail? That's brilliant. If I tell them why I think I got thrown in jail, then obviously I'm guilty, and that's why I'm in jail. Zuckerberg, you twit. And so I just asked him, I said, why don't we do it intelligently? Why don't you tell me why I'm in jail? Well, they didn't do that. I thought I'd get early release if I did that, but I didn't get early release at all. But I'm free now, free as a bird. I can run around the internet again for a little while and see what happens. So everybody knows it's just getting more bizarre by the day, which is a very good sign because they have threatened themselves to no end, and they're out of gas. They're completely out of gas. I want to thank the clowns that built the internet, the net, the web, to enslave and entrap everybody on the planet, but these idiots write everything down. So the good researchers have been digging through this stuff for years and have been doing a wonderful job of informing people. And it's flipped now. It's actually finally flipped. Where I used to post stuff about global warming being a fraud years ago, and everybody jump on me and be screaming at me and telling me I'm an idiot and everything. And now there's very few people really pushing the global warming hard. How could you? It ain't happening. And it's all a fraud. So they've lost traction everywhere. Everybody's made the connections back to the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, all this kind of stuff, your governments or corporations and so on and so forth. So they're really losing traction. So in their desperation, they are throwing stuff out that is so ludicrous now. Nobody, even a brain dead man or woman, couldn't accept it as plausible, which is good because the science has really taken a hit, of which I have no use for. Anybody listening to the show knows I have no use for science, just like I had no use for the priests and back in the mid-19th century when they started to tell us that we were really not men and women, but we were in fact something that called a human that is derived from the great apes. Apparently we evolved from them, but that's all been busted now. That doesn't hold water anymore, never did hold water, but that's when they turned the sciences, and they say so. That's when they killed God, and they had to kill God because they couldn't move their ecology movement forward if God existed. And because you're doing a switch out here, you're doing a big switch out. You're going from belief in a creator to one who worships the creation. And so it's a huge switch out. So they switched out from the priests pushing the creator, to the scientists pushing the earth. And this is what kills me when I discovered that there was no such word as dinosaur. It didn't exist. There was no dinosaurs till the mid-19th century. No such thing. They cooked it up. They created dinosaurs. Then they told us that our oil comes from rotting dinosaurs. They told me that in school. It's a fossil fuel. It's a fossil fuel. And apparently we had so many dinosaurs that, and they turned into oil apparently. And we've been pumping dinosaurs through our cars for quite a while now. It's all a load of bunk. Okay? Science is a tool of deception, just like the priests were tools of deception. Now, you say, well, some science is good. Well, yeah, I suppose. But then what exactly is science? I mean, we have mental sciences, we have math sciences, we have social sciences. These are all tools of manipulation. They're all words of manipulation. It's what science was set up to do, manipulate. I said, well, yeah, but they make discoveries in that. Well, so does everybody else. You know, you go down to science, this is observation. Well, that makes us all scientists. But it does make us all manipulators. Okay? They've manipulated our water, they've manipulated our food. So, we wouldn't have fluoride in the water if it weren't for the scientists saying the fluoride's good for you. We wouldn't have GMOs in almost everything you eat now. It wasn't for the scientists who said it was good for you. So we wouldn't have these stupid windmills surrounding my town if the scientists hadn't said it was good for you. Now, sound engineering is a whole different ballgame, right? But science is what it is. It's a tool of manipulation. And people got to get that through their thick skulls. Anyways, speaking of science, I've read stories like this before, but this one's in my neck of the woods. Right? It's about I don't know, what is it? Probably an hour and a half, 2 hours north of me, hour and 3/4 north of me, up at Tobermory, where the ferry, we catch the ferry. And I don't know how you do this. See, I'm old school. I want to go somewhere. Give me a freaking map. I'll look it up on the map, get the general gist of where I'm going. And then when I get close to where I'm going, if I'm not 100% sure where exactly, but I know I'm close, I'll just pull over and ask somebody. I'm looking for such and such. Can you get me over there? Yeah, no problem. Go down here, turn there, you're there. Piece of cake, right? You see, because I was able to get from A to B without a GPS for a very long time. I don't have a GPS. I don't have a cell phone. And damn it, amazingly, I'm still alive. Wow. I'm living in the digital age without GPS and without cell phones, and my God, I can still get from A to B and not get messed up. That's an amazing situation, because what they're telling you now is you can't do nothing without all this electronic shit. Anyway, so this woman in Kitchener, Ontario, I love stories like this. Woman in Kitchener, Ontario follows her GPS. GPS says, turn left here, turn right here, go 10 miles, turn left there, curve in the road up ahead, yada, 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 yada. And so she follows her GPS and ends up in the Tobermory Harbor. Drove right down the boat ramp, no less. I mean, whoa. And this is where we're really getting in trouble here. Now they want to bring out self-driving cars. This lady was actually driving her car, listening to her GPS. Ended up in the harbor. And totally submerged the car and managed to get out of it okay, which is a nice story. Got her window rolled down. She didn't freak out. She rolled the window down and got out. And swam to shore, and she must have been a little nippy because the water temperature is only 4 degrees. So I'm sure she won't probably listen or follow her GPS instructions quite as closely next time. But anyways, I'm going to read this quick because it makes me giggle. Police in Tobermory, Ontario, pulled a red car from the harbor early Friday morning after a kitchen woman, following instructions from her GPS, and drove down a boat ramp into the water. Ontario Provincial Police said the woman was following her GPS when she took a wrong turn into Little Tub Harbor late Thursday night. It was raining, dark, and foggy at the time, combining weather conditions and the driver being new to the area. A fully submerged vehicle was the result, police said in a release. The 23-year-old Kitchener woman was able to roll down her window, get out of the submerged car, and swim approximately 30 meters to shore in 4 degrees Celsius water. Then she called for help, probably on her cell phone. Except for being cold and wet, the woman was unhurt. A tow truck was able to pull the submerged car out of the harbor at 8:22 a.m. Friday morning. Tobermory is approximately 250 kilometers north of Waterloo. Now, I've read stories of this in the past where people go on a trip. I remember this old couple, they ended up out in a logging road somewhere, stuck in a snowdrift for, I don't know, a couple days or whatever. If you can't think, don't use your electronic shit, okay? If you put that much faith in all this electronics, you're just going to get yourself in trouble. Okay? If you got a cell phone stuck to the side of your head all the time, chances are you're going to burn the brain out. You know? I see people standing in the middle of an intersection texting. You deserve to get run over. I mean, you're just stupid. You have it boggles the mind. People have no ability to multitask, I guess. Walk, and do something else at the same time. Or walk, do something else, and look around. What the hell's going on around you? They get so involved in this stuff. But I would have loved to see the look in this lady's eyes. I mean, what the hell did she think she was driving into? You know, when you start down the boat ramp, you're going to notice some water, one would think. You just imagine that. Now I'm going down a hill all of a sudden, and my headlights are on, and that looks somewhat like a lake out there. Maybe I hit the brakes. Well, no, I'll just keep going until the car is completely submerged. Duh. That's why I always like that show that it's not on the air anymore, but there was a show many years ago out of Las Vegas called Duh. And that also makes me giggle because when I called in the one day and I said, okay, I quit. What the hell does stand for? And he said, dumb, unintelligent humans. And I went, what a sweet name, because you nailed it. Now, I did a story last night that the liberal Democrat, if you will, the Common Core tools, teaching your children in school can't do basic math. Now, if I have someone incompetent working for me, we'll try and work with them for a little bit. But if you're that incompetent, you need to go find a different job. I've told lots of people that. I'm not mad at them or anything else. Just you ain't cut out for this. Okay? You don't have the capacity to do this particular job. So go find a different job that you do have the capacity to do. It makes everybody happier. No, what do they do here? We have teachers that went through the teacher college. Teachers college. So they went through high school, and then I guess they go to the teachers college to become teachers, and they can't do grade 6 math. Now, how the hell did you get through high school if you can't do grade 6 math? And then how the hell did you pass teachers college if you can't do grade 6 math? And have these idiots foisted upon the children to teach them. No. What do? It's nice when you're government, because you got an open credit card, basically, right? You spend whatever you want on whatever. It doesn't matter how far you're in the hole. Everybody else is on the hook, you know. That's the sweet part of the way they've got these things set up. Nobody in government's ever on the hook for anything. Spend whatever they want, whenever they want, and we're all on the hook for it. But instead of saying, geez, these teachers are completely incompetent, they go out and they say, no, we got a plan. Uh-oh. Government's got a plan. Look out. This is going to cost somebody some money. Nope. They got incompetent teachers that can't do grade 5, 6 math, teaching kids in the elementary schools. So what are they going to do? They invest $60 million to hire some professors to give these elementary school teachers a crash course on basic math. And the upshot of this is they're not teaching them all basic math. What they're trying to do is have one in each school that is competent in basic grade 6 math to teach elementary school kids. And that will be the head brilliant math teacher, of which I guess the other math teachers can confer with and say, geez, I'm having a problem with 6 minus 3 plus 2. And I got to teach the kids that tomorrow. Could you help me out there? You did get part of that $60 million to teach you how to teach us. And people wonder why our countries, so-called countries, are in so frickin' much trouble. The teachers don't know anything. I mean, a competent teacher would question what they're being asked to teach in the schools. If the teachers are running around pumping this global warming nonsense and all the rest of the agendas, which are total nonsense, and they say, well, the scientist says, so we have to teach that. Did you ever take a look into science, you twit? Well, no, we just do as we're told. Well, you can't even do basic math. So how would you have the capacity to think your way through the propaganda that's being thrown at everybody? You don't. Therefore, you are abusing the children. You're guilty of child abuse. The public school system was set up to abuse children. And it's been doing ever since it was set up, and it's set up by the foundations, the Rockefellers, this and that, to get control. So we got to do something about that, and I can't tell people hard enough, long enough, get your damn kids out of the school system. If the word system is attached to something, you know it ain't good for you. Okay? You've been sucked into the system. Get out of the, or as my friend Chris likes to call it, the system. And that's exactly it. You got to get the kids out of the system, or your children may find themselves driving into a harbor in the future. That's how stupefied people have become, which was Brzezinski's little note. 2.5, 3 generations, we are going to stupefy these people to the point they won't even be able to tie their shoes. So what will we do? I don't know. We'll make pull-ons and Velcro shoes, because they can't even tie their own damn laces anymore, because they'd be stupefied. And now we can do whatever we want with them. Anyways, that's what we got there. Now down here, I just can't. I want everybody to spend some freaking time in. Oh, get this. I seen this last night before I went to bed. Now I haven't been able to verify much of this, but it was in several other publications. Now we know that the school system, who can't teach children basic grade 6 math, do seem to have the capacity to teach them that they're all born sexual entities, and the sooner they get to it, the better. And that basically it is a government-sanctioned pedophile training ring, or syndicate, if you will, that is what's happened to your public school. And that's really pathetic, you know. The kids are being taught. The teachers seem to have the capacity to teach the kids, well, you know, you look like a boy, but you might be a girl. You might want to sit down when you pee instead of standing up when you pee. This is being jammed into very little young kids' heads. And you can't say as anything else more than prepping them for abuse. and they're completely destroying any semblance of a normal society. I saw a thing on I don't know, Facebook or where last night. Did a picture of Michelle Obama up against the urinal, teaching Obama how to stand up when he pees. I thought it was rather comical. But anyways, I saw this thing last night that really made me want to throw up, actually. Some Japanese guy, where'd that story get to? Some Japanese guy is making child sex dolls. And this says it's from January 11, 2016. I never heard of this before. And it says, the story goes like this. Being a pedophile is like living with a mask on, said Shin Tanaki before lighting another cigarettes in the midst of a Tokyo cafe. His mask was off today. He spoke freely and people were noticing. In a sea of black business suits, Takagi sported a red Hawaiian print shirt daring them to look. People like him who struggle with pedophilic impulses but have never acted on them have been the subject of much media attention. Now they're selling this off now as a not a crime, not a sickness, but a preference. Okay, that's what they do. They keep rebranding stuff, right? Normalizing things that are so, you can't normalize pedophilia, but they're doing it. They managed to normalize transgenderism to a point, and now it's you can be whatever you think you are, whenever you think you are it. You be a boy today, girl tomorrow, and we're allowing this shit to go on, and that shows how weak in the mind and the spine we have become. Now they're bringing out child sex dolls. They say it's so that the pedophiles won't bother the children. Whoa up on that one. This is spooky crap, man. Struggling to reconcile his attraction to children with a conviction that they should be protected, he founded Trotla, a company that produces lifelike child sex dolls. For more than a decade, he has shipped anatomically correct imitations of girls as young as 5 to clients around the world. He says we should accept that there is no way to change someone's fetishes. I'm helping people express their desires legally and ethically. Well, there's nothing ethical about legal. Legal is a land of amoral. Law, on the other hand, is a land of moral. So when he says legally and ethically, there's nothing ethical. There's no ethics in making child sex dolls. Okay, that's a perversion. It's a sickness, but it's legal. Okay, dropping bombs on children is legal. Okay, throwing people in jail for 20 years for misdemeanor crimes is legal. There's nothing ethical about any of that stuff. So to put ethics and legal in the same sentence, well, people don't understand language. Oh, well, it's legal. What are we going to do about it? Well, legal tells you it's amoral. The legal system was the enslavement of people. That's immoral, amoral, not immoral, amoral. These are people who are psychopaths and sociopaths. And they used the legal system to facilitate their desires. And that is the control of everybody and everything on the planet through your enslavement. Anyways, he goes on to say that it's not worth living if you have to live with repressed desire, is what he says. Okay, so in the one sentence, he says he makes the dolls to help people because he wants to not hurt the children. And on the other hand, he said it's not worth living. Life is not worth living if you have to live with repressed desires. That's back in the amoral camp. Anyway, several treatments for pedophilia exist, including cognitive behavioral therapy and chemical castration and other interventions intended to suppress urges. A meta-analysis conducted by the good old Mayo Clinic recently concluded that the treatments do not change the pedophile's basic sexual orientation towards children. In addition, among people who have actually molested children, the study cites rates ranging from 10 to 15% of reoccurrence. Aggie believes other methods of harm reduction are warranted and suggested his products could help. So far, there's no research to indicate whether or not his dolls would be successful, and Peter Fagan from the Johns Hopkins School of Medicine is skeptical that there ever will be. Citing cognitive behavior theory, the researcher believes that contact with the child dolls would likely have a reinforcing effect on pedophilic ideation, and in many instances cause it to be acted upon with greater urgency. Exactly, okay, because it normalizes the situation. You're going from the doll to the living child. Very dangerous crap, but apparently it's legal. So then for it's okie dokie. The research Fagan cites to support that conclusion is based on offenders, so it's unclear whether the effects would be different for non-offenders. University of Toronto speculated on the possible existence of two distinct populations of pedophiles. Yeah, the ones that get caught and the ones that don't get caught. That's what I said, not what he said. Drawing an analogy, this is him again, drawing an analogy to the methadone treatment for opioid addicts, the psychiatrist hypothesized that for some pedophiles, access to artificial child pornography or to child sex dolls could be a safer outlet for their sexual urges, reducing the likelihood that they would seek out child pornography or sex with real children. For others, having these substitutes might only aggravate their sense of frustration. We don't know, because the research hasn't been done, he concluded, but it would be a very important study to conduct. Now, the studies they're going to conduct, now that we've got the dolls out in the open, is going to be, it's just a preference. It's not a sickness. We've seen this already. It's not a sickness. It's a preference, and somehow being a preference is better than being an illness, somehow or another, and justifies the actions of the pedophile at the expense of the child. What kind of sick-ass society are we living in now, right? Like, we got to sweep this mess clean, people. We got to get back to law. Because anywhere at time there's a lawyer involved in anything, they can string whatever line of words they want, make those words mean whatever they want, justify whatever they want to justify at any given time. And then all of a sudden, it's okie dokie. And it becomes normalized. Anyways, Klaus Baer, the initiating scientist on the Pedophile Prevention Network, Don't Offend, has been investigating what differentiates pedophiles who act on their impulse and those who do not. We can detect pedophilia by examining the activation patterns associated with sexual arousal through neuroimaging, the sexologist noted. The far more interesting question is the person able to control this behavior? In an fMRI study currently under review and financed by the German Ministry of Education and Research, Dr. Baer and his colleagues say they have found stronger connectivity in brain regions related to the impulse control in pedophiles who have not offended to compare those who have. Just because a person is pedophilically inclined, Baer concluded, doesn't mean he is a danger. Even without a supporting research, Takagi is convinced that his products save children. I often receive letters from buyers, he said. The letters say, thanks to your dolls, I can keep from committing a crime. I hear statements like that from doctors, prep school teachers, even celebrities. While our meeting that day was brief, he invited me to visit his mountain workshop the following afternoon. I met him along with my translator, an hour north of Tokyo. He described most of his clients as men living alone. The system of marriage is no longer working, he said, right? The system of marriage is no longer working because we have to destroy the society, and the easiest way to destroy the society is to first of all destroy the family, okay? And that has a long history of destroying the family. The wars that were created by the bankers and the trust in that is a typical example of destroying the family. If you take the young men who maybe presently have one child or two child or awaiting a child and send him off to war and get his frickin' face blown off, you've destroyed that family, okay? And then we have the feminism, and then we have the LGBTQ, WXYZ group, and that destroys the family. We have the problem of taking two parents to provide for a family, barely, which puts people throwing their children as soon as they wake up into daycare, giving complete and total control of the state, all designed to destroy the family. So this dick says the system of marriage is no longer working. Well, no, because it was destroyed. But what does the system of marriage no longer working have to do with pedophilia dolls? Absolutely nothing, of course. While most people buy dolls for sexual reasons, that soon changes for many of them. This gets really sick. They start to brush the doll's hair or change her clothing. Kind of reminds me, of the Gates Motel where he kept his mother up there in the window there, and, kept her clean and brushed her hair and stuff. And this is a friggin' mental illness, okay? There's a friggin' mental illness. While most dolls, okay, they start to brush the doll's hair and to change her clothing. It's not a her. Okay, it's an inanimate friggin' object. It's not a her. But it gets weird. Female clients buy the dolls to remind them of their past or to reimagine an unfortunate childhood. Many of them begin to think of the dolls as their daughters. That's why I never allow myself to be photographed, he says. This is the guy building the dolls. I want to prevent them from seeing me as the father of the dolls. How twisted is this? But this is the kind of crap that ends up getting normalized. And we allow it to be normalized. Why are we doing this, people? Why are we doing this? Anyways, the doll factory stands at the end of a remote gravel road shrouded by trees. The building's only neighbors are monkeys, birds, and wild boar. We had to be out in the wilderness, he said. The machinery is loud and the materials are flammable. Inside the dim interior, the stench of solvents was overpowering. Takagi admitted that the proprietary solution he uses to replicate skin is a known carcinogen with toxic effects on the brain, liver, and kidneys. It is a very challenging environment, he said. That's why all my employees are former military. They are only allowed to work with the poisonous material 2 days a week and must wear masks and gloves. I often wonder what will kill me first, cigarettes or this? he hit a switch, the overhead fluorescent lights flickered on, and suddenly we were not alone. At the far end of the room, hanging naked from metal stands, were the dolls. When I look at them in the middle of the night, sometimes I'm even frightened, he admitted. Does she have a name, I asked, gesturing towards the nearest doll, a model he later described as a 10 to 12-year-old. There is no name, he said, just a code name, LP1. What emotions do you see on her face, I asked. Well, this one looks sad, he said. One must make a variety of expressions to fulfill the variety of clients' needs. In Japan, where many have animist Shinto beliefs, the dolls have a complicated status. In Shinto, Takagi said, everything has a soul. Even if you don't want the dolls anymore, you can't abandon them. There's a special ceremony that is performed for them at a shrine. It's like a ceremony for a dead person. Since dolls have a human form, they must be treated as such. He described a recent case in which a client who needed to get rid of a doll called requesting his help. He wanted me to dispose of it, Takagi remembered. But he didn't say dispose. The phrase he used was send back home. At the end of our interview, as I was photographing a set of fiberglass molds, I noticed Takagi and my translator speaking in the corner. What were you talking about? I asked her later. The translator says, my husband died in a motorcycle crash 7 years ago, she said, or several years ago. I was asking Mr. Takagi how much it would cost to make a replica of him. We all walked together the same way we came in, passing a pile of discarded fiberglass skeletons waiting to be removed. These were the remains of some of the dolls that had been sent back home. They're toxic, he said, so we need a special company to come and pick them up. They have to be crushed with hammers. Everything with form must be broken eventually. On the drive back to the station, I asked if his work had changed the way he defined the real and the artificial. It is common belief in Japan that dolls are mirrors, he said. The dolls show their owner's true self. So, this is just more of this nonsense that is going on out there. So you have the schools teaching the kids all this strange nonsense they teach them. I just feel so bad for the kids in the schools. I don't see how they have a hope in hell. I don't know why the parents are allowing their children to be abused the way they are in the school system. I don't get that at all. I really don't get it. Now, I do realize that the teacher, the parents came through the same school system and they were stupefied, incrementally. And so the next group they bring in, they screw with them even more and more and more and more and more. And this is the kind of nonsense we end up with. It's this ability to justify anything in this amoral system. You couldn't do it in the law system. Okay, you couldn't do it in law. Because law is based on moral. Legal, again, is amoral. So they can construct whatever they want and justify it any way they want, put it in the papers and on the TVs and in the video games and in the movies and normalize it. And somehow people don't even see it. And eventually they accept what not that long ago they would not accept. And this is what happens when a group of people allow themselves to be manipulated by psychopaths and sociopaths. This is what happens. I'm reading this thing about these dolls. It looks like a script out of some kind of twisted horror movie. But this stuff's out in the mainstream now. It's not a sickness. It's not a sickness. It's not a mental problem. It's simply a preference. Simply a preference. So now we're being flooded in with Muslims who are dragging their Islamic law, their Sharia law behind them, which allows child marriage. Get it? Okay, we have to, we really have to sharpen up some here, people. It's unfortunate, but that's the way things are going. And we have nobody, and I mean nobody, to blame but ourselves. And nobody is going to fix the problems except us. Okay, that's it. I hope this election in the States blows up so bad in everybody's faces that they have to go look in the mirror and say, you know, the only hope for this and the future of this nation is that we take responsibility. Period. We have to cut this amoral nonsense loose. We have to get it away from us. Now, the G20. Okay, the G20. Well, let me see. How would I call that? It's called the Group of 20, I think it is. The Group of 20. Now, back in 2010 here in Canada, this one they were running around with all the G20 meetings. I think they did one out in Seattle where they had the noise cannons and all that kind of nonsense. And then did one here in Toronto and arrested a pile of people. It treated the people who went down to protest like bags of garbage. They, wrecked people. There was one guy had a fake leg or whatever you call it, prosthesis or whatever, and broke out on him. I think it was. It was brutal. And all the media, and they did that in Seattle. All the media was, I think it was Seattle that was, or Pittsburgh, somewhere. It was Seattle. All the media attention was on the protest. None of the media attention whatsoever was on the actual meetings, what they were about. But in Toronto in 2010, our prime minister at the time stood at the podium in a media scrum and stated, this is a loss of national sovereignty. Some people don't like it, but it's just a simple reality. Whoa up. Now, CBC, the Canadian, or the Communist Broadcasting Corporation here in Canada, phoned me up wanting a video that they found on my YouTube, and I explained to him that had nothing to do with the G20. That's just, you're looking for titillation is what you're looking for. It has nothing to do with, you told me you're doing a serious piece on it, so do a serious piece. When I brought up the scrum and why the media, no media exposed what was said at that media scrum to the people, they would have got a little excited, because when he said there's a loss of national sovereignty, some people don't like it, I think if this was broadcast in all the media, I think they would have found the number of people that don't like it is considerably higher than some. What does CBC say to me? Oh, that was unfortunate, but we wouldn't be interested in that. Can we have that clip of titillation, which was really just a bunch of people singing "Oh Canada," sitting on the roadway, and then with their backs turned to a line of riot police. And the second they were done singing the so-called national anthem, they got run over by these fully decked out riot police. And again, treated like a bag of garbage. But no, CBC was only interested in that, even though they told me that the reason they wanted the clip was they were doing a serious piece on the G20 when they had no intentions of doing anything serious about the G20. But what I find interesting about the group of 20, known as the G20, it's 20 members, right? There are 20 members in the G20. And they are Argentina, Australia, Brazil, Canada, China, the European Union, France, Germany, India, Indonesia, Italy, Japan, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South America, South Korea, Turkey, United Kingdom, and the United States. These are the 20 countries that are members of the G20 or the Group of 20, who apparently, when they were in Toronto, it turned out that that meeting turned into a loss of national sovereignty. Now, who are, let's see, the Group of 20 triples IMF coffers. Members of the G20 announced a $1.1 trillion economic stimulus plan, including $500 billion for the International Monetary Fund to provide funds to countries hardest hit by the financial crisis. That's back in 2009. And who's on the hook for that? Well, you and I, and your grandma and your grandpa and your children. Now, where the hell did this G20 thing come from? Like, did Argentina phone Australia and say, hey, Australia, I got an idea. Why don't you call Brazil and China, and I'll get a hold of France and tell them to phone Canada, and, yeah, better call up Germany. And I know a guy in India. Call him. Don't forget the United Kingdom, the EU, and for God's sake, somebody call the United States, please. And we'll all get together and we'll go on a picnic and we'll call ourselves a Group of 20. Is that how that worked? No. Like I said way back in 2010, I said this is a group of bankers and industrialists and globalists who got together to put the screws on everybody. But where did this thing come from? This G20. Well, the G20, apparently Timothy F. Geithner is a co-founder, and Lawrence H. Summers is a co-founder. So Timothy and Lawrence created the Group of 20, which are all supposed countries. Now, how the hell do these two guys end up coercing 20 countries into joining their group? Where do these guys get all this power from? Good question. So, we'll have to go check out Geithner. Timothy Geithner. So the main group here, the Group of 20, it says France is a member, but they're also a member state of the European Union. Germany's a member. So these are all members of the EU at the first. And then there's these other 15 member nations off to the side. So it looks like the main group of 20, well, you have 15 other members, but I guess these are member states of the EU first, and then these other 15 members off to the side. So Timothy Geithner and Lawrence Summers are the co-founders of the G20. How do these two guys go about getting everybody in the European Union, or the people in the European Union, the main ones, and 15 other countries to join their club? Who the hell's Timothy F. Geithner? Oh, I know this guy. I know Geithner. Now, Geithner is a co-founder of the G20. Let that sink into your head a little bit. Well, here's a nice picture of Hillary Clinton, too. So what's Geithner attached to? Oh, everything. Now, he's attached to the Warburg Group. He's the president of the Warburg Pincus. Now, Warburg is the clown who they're involved in the Fed. And Warburg also was the guy at the Senate committee hearings in 1950 who said they're going to have world government whether you like it or not. You're either going to consent to it or we're going to beat you into it. This is a guy that started the G20. My country's involved with Timothy Geithner. U.S. Department of Treasury. There's the Group of 20, Group of 30. Federal Open Market Committee, Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission, International Rescue Committee, White House Senate dinners, World Economic Forum, Economic Club of New York, the Hamilton Project, Kissinger Associates. He's a researcher for Kissinger. Rand Corporation, he's trustee. Group of 20, he's a co-founder. Group of 30, a member. Federal Reserve Bank, New York. Partnership for New York. Barack Obama administration. How in the hell did my country end up a member of the G20, which was co-founded by Geithner? That's just the way it is. So I'm going to back up here for a second, and for reference points, I'm just going to go back here to the beginning of this thing, and because remember, it's all about the Sovietization of America, which really is a Sovietization of the West. But America is the main target, okay? Because it is a republic, not a democracy, okay? But they have that constitution. And it was also founded on the King James Bible, just like United Kingdom was. Okay, all the kings and queens, they took the oaths on those Bibles, or on that particular Bible. So two things have to disappear for Warburg and Geithner and his buddies to gain final empire. And they got to get rid of that, as Bush said, damn piece of paper, referring to the Constitution. And they got to get rid of the King James Bible, because that's our law. Okay, so the last stand for moral conduct lies within those pages, because that's where our law comes from. The legal system, again, on the other hand, is a completely amoral system concocted and run by sociopaths and psychopaths. But for two guys, Timothy Geithner and Lawrence Summers, to co-found a group of 20, what's the phone call, right? What do you dial? 1-800-Canada? 1-800 Great Britain? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, Canada? Yeah, it's Timothy Geithner. Yeah, Trilateral Commission, Council on Foreign Relations. Yeah, we were involved in all those bombings. Yeah, the Fed. Yeah, we were involved in that. Yeah. Listen, how would you like to join our group? Me and Summers over here, we're starting a new group. We're going to call it the Group of 20. Yeah. Give it some thought. No pressure. I'll get back to you. Let's say I'll get back to you next Tuesday afternoon. What do you say? Get your people together. Get the cabinet together there, and yeah. No, it's going to be a really good group. No. You got a majority. You don't have to talk to the people. You are the people's representatives. Therefore, you can basically do whatever the hell you want. And I'm saying it's a good deal. You should jump in with us. Yeah. I mean, what happens if you don't join? Well, hey, you're going to be left out, aren't you? I'm going to make it very tough for you, because then we've got the group of 19, and we're going to all pile on the monkey sort of thing. And no, you can consent to this, or we will get you through conquest. Yeah. Remember Warburg over there at the Senate hearings in 1950? Yeah. Same game. You're either with us or you're against us, and so if you're against us, you're not consenting, and then we'll have to take you down by conquest. Yeah. No, we got the missiles pointed at you already, so. No, that's what I say. I'll call you back next Tuesday. Give you lots of time to figure it out. You're either with us or you're against us. We don't want you on the news looking like terrorists now, do we? What happened over there in Iraq and Iran, and or not Iran, but Libya. It looks bad, doesn't it? Yeah. No, we'll get the lawyers to send you up the paperwork. You just sign on. Yeah, I mean, the group of 20 sounds a lot better than the group of 19, don't you think? It's got a nice round ring to it. Yeah, okay. All right, I'll get back to you next Tuesday. This is how this crap went down? I mean, we have no control over anything on our own lands. And if there's anything that points that out to people, this one's got to be it. And I'm going to keep looking through this muckety, and I'm going to keep shoving it at people until they start dealing with it. All this nonsense of Clinton and Bernie, and Trump is just a sideshow. A simple old sideshow to keep you busy. It's no different than picking pockets. If you look at that old movie Oliver, for crying out loud, that spells it out pretty good. Finnegan's the lawyers. And, you can look at the little pickpockets that he creates as your police force, if you will. But it's all done through jargon and deception. One's keeping you busy over here while the other one's picking your pocket. And that's what's been going on for way, way, way too long. And we have got to put a stop to it. I mean, this is so open, it's nuts. So there's your group of 20. You can click on the member 15 group, and you'll come up with the rest of the countries that aren't in the EU, like the United States and Canada and everything else. And there you have your European Union with all the other. But these are the main players. They always do this up in these maps. So France, Germany, Italy, and the United Kingdom were the main players in the European Union, and then the rest of the countries. Same thing over here with the other 15 members. So these guys actually co-founded it. It wasn't the governments that got together. It was guys like Geithner that got together with his buddy, who I'm going to go look at here right away, and why don't you guys go set this stuff up? Right? It'll be great. Yeah, people deal with football schedules, I see. And yeah, they deal real hard with that stuff. I mean, it sickens me to see when I go up to the corner store to get my coffee before the show or whatever. They're just like zombies, They just go up and they get their tickets, their sports tickets or their lottery tickets or whatever, and it's just like Zombieville, man. It's really spooky stuff. Really spooky stuff. So let's see what part of what is this Summers up to. Okay, so he's a member of One Campaign, the Brookings Institute, NASDAQ, Peterson Institute for International Economics, National Economic Council, the Lending Club, Teach for America, Council on Foreign Relations, D.C. Muckety 2009 Power Couples, Obama Biden and Economic Advisory Team, the U.S. Department of Treasury, Group of 20, which we're into, Bretton Woods, World Economic Forum 2014, Harvard University, Citigroup, International Crisis Group, the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs, the Center for Global Development, the Trilateral Commission, the Center for American Progress, World Economic Forum 2010, the Mount Sinai Medical, Partnership for Public Service, Alliance Partners, White House State Dinner, of course, I got to eat, Presidential Task Force on the Auto Industry, Anderson Horowitz, Group of 30, American Corporate Partners, another one of the Barack Obama administration. These are the guys that set up the G20. And I got a bad feeling they didn't have you or your interest in mind when they set it up. That's what it would appear to be. You weren't noticed about this. Okay? You weren't noticed about this at all. But here it is. The G20. And, it's all internationalism. It's all globalism. It's all about picking your pockets, about all taking control of all of the resources on the planet and putting you into the final set of leg irons, if you will. Freaking nuts, man. You don't see this stuff in the media. At least I never saw it in the media. Maybe I wasn't looking that day. But I don't know how these two guys that are attached to all these things who created the G20, all I ever heard was there's going to be a G20 meeting. Oh, it's an important meeting. And if you go anywhere near it, you're going to get thrown in jail or get the snot beat out or you get hit with noise cannons and stuff. Hot damn, be proud. It's the G20. Now, I don't know who the hell the group of 30 is. That was a group of 20. So we got Geithner and some names here. Oh, Paul Volcker, who is a special assistant. Gerald Corrigan is a special assistant to Paul Volcker. Paul Volcker is a chairman emeritus of the group of 30. Timothy Geithner is a member. And there's a bunch of names in here, and there's 18 other members. Who are they? Let's see. Some of these names I do know, some of them I don't know. But if there's a little grid in the name, you can always just right-click on it, and it will open it up for you, and it will tell you who that one's all attached to. Now, we have... okay, we got Geithner. I don't know this guy, Emersto Zedilio. I have no idea who this guy is. We'll look and see who he is. Yale Center for the Study of Globalization. Oh, okay, well, that makes sense. Citigroup, Group of Trinity, World Economic Forum, Inter-American Dialogue, Daimler Chrysler, Coca-Cola Company, Procter & Gamble, Electronic Data Systems, Peters Institute for International Economics again, International Commission on Nuclear Non-Proliferation and Disarmament, International Crisis Group, Citigroup. Oh, I see. He was president of Mexico. Okay. I'm not big on Mexico. I don't pay that much attention to Mexico. So... yeah, you go through this stuff and see where it takes you. There's a whole swack of names there. And this is the group of 30. And let's see what old Volcker is, or Volcker, or whatever you call him, is attached to. Probably the same thing. Who's he attached to? The Federal Reserve Board, the group of Trinity, the Aspen Institute, the Peterson Foundation, IOUSA. Now, what the hell is that? IOUSA. The hell is that? Interviewed in film. Oh, that's a film. Okay. IOUSA was a film, and Volker was interviewed for the film. Okay. I've never seen the film. Again, National Committee on American Foreign Policy, Committee for the Responsible Federal Budget, Concord Coalition, Obama and Biden again, Trilateral Commission, Bretton Woods, Systemic Risk Council, Japan Society. Why would he be attached to the... He's a life director of the Japan Society, for crying out loud. International House, I don't know who International House is, but he's an honorary trustee for it. The director of the Peterson Institute for International Economics. The American Assembly is a trustee of that. Federal Reserve Bank, president. American Council on Germany, honorary vice chairman. Group of Trinity, he is a senior member. And... oh no, he's a chairman, and this other guy down here is a senior member. Now, I don't know what the Group of Trinity is. I want to go look at that. And we have Geithner and all these people still in there. Same names popping up. Let's see if I can dig out anybody here. Group of Trinity, we've got 18 members. And these same names keep popping up all the time. I think that's one of the biggest things of it. But there's so many names that, like Volker is a member of this Group of Trinity. So is Geithner. So is Lawrence Summers, the two guys that set up the G20 and the G30. Chairman of the trustees. So we got the member, the Mexican president, the old Mexican. I don't know if it's a new one. I don't even know who the Mexican president is. I don't know the timeline on this particular map here, but all of these same basic names. Now I don't know who Jean-Claude Trichet is, but something tells me he's attached to a whole bunch of crap. And he's attached to the World Economic Forum, the Bank of Bank. He's the governor of Bank of France, the European Central Bank, Airbus Group, Bretton Woods Group, Trilateral Commission Group, Group of Trinity, Peterson Group. It just goes on and on and on, people. And that's I'm gonna back this up a little bit. I'm gonna throw that in. I'll throw this in and you can go look at him. So if you think your government, you think your president, you think your prime minister has any say in anything other than a puppet, someone to sign paperwork, you're kidding yourself, okay? You're absolutely kidding yourself. It's been a lie since the get-go. And why we're playing this dumbass game is beyond me. I mean, these are guys that enrich themselves constantly, continue to gain more power over everybody else. Everything that they spend, you're on the hook for. They steal so much of your money out of these so-called taxes, which goes to fund these guys. In turn around and lend you nothing and charge you interest on it so they can continue their merry way of enslaving you more and more and more and more. Why are we putting up with this? Trudeau is allowing lots of Mexicans in. This is from Universal Knowing over here in the chat. Thank you for putting this in, by the way. Trudeau is allowing lots of Mexicans in, and apparently there will be a real increase of Mexicans if Trump wins. I don't know if these people need passports. Over 9,000 Mexicans came into Canada last year. Yeah, this is about the tear down of society. What they're trying to do is move in cheap labor, cheaper labor. Okay, and it's all about, the end game on this is that global trust. That's the end game on this, the global trust. Okay, and that's where they are going to remove the debt because it can't be repaid. It's not real anyways, but it can't be repaid. Now, you were enslaved, okay? You were made surety for all of the debt of your so-called country, but the debt has got so high that there's no way that you, being the surety, or your children or their children could ever possibly pay it off. So you are completely cooked. All of the people in all of the countries couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again, basically. It's broken. And it was broken on purpose. It's the next bankruptcy. They bankrupted the countries and then they turned you into surety for the debt. But now the debt's got so high on purpose that all of the people in all of the nations have no capacity whatsoever to ever be in a position to pay that debt off. Therefore, we need to bankrupt it again. This time, of course, what are they going to use for surety? The resources. All of the resources on the planet. Because you got to pay the debt. Right? You're indebted. You got to pay the debt. What do you got for assets? Well, all of your resources. And we don't want to play the old game of where we pretend you have a government. We got to go through all this nonsense of writing government laws and all this stuff so that we can take your resources on you. Rockefeller's, something's got to take the place of government. Business seems to be the obvious entity to do it. Who set up the United Nations? Businesses, tax-exempt foundations. Why? To take advantage. Final empire. So now, when Iceland, they said, well, they're just gonna forgive all the debt. Well, how are you going to go about that? How do you forgive that? How does the country forgive the debt? The country owes the debt to somebody else. The guys that created the Federal Reserves and the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. That's who they owe money to. The country doesn't have any money. So how's the country forgiving all the debt? They can't do it. So there's a game going on here, and that's all the resources go over to pay off the debt. So the debt's forgiven through the acquisition of the assets. Now, this is where your universal human rights comes into play, where everyone has the right to adequate this, that, and the other damn thing. Okay? And now that they own all of everything, you, the water, the air, the resources, then they spin them out to you in allotments of what they consider adequate. You ain't got no say in it. And that's where your sustainable development comes in. Not using the future now. We have to save all those resources for future generations. So even though you see the trees out there, you can't go cut a tree down. No, that's not sustainable. We need that tree for future generations. We decide what you get. We've determined what is adequate for you. We've determined that a little box of 250 or 350 square feet is where you're going to live. We've decided that you're not going to have a combustion engine car. We've decided you're not going to live out in the rural areas. We've decided that you're going to be housed in the cities. We've decided we're not even going to grow your food out in the farmlands anymore because they have to be rewilded, because every interaction with the rural areas by man, or they call you humans, destroys the natural habitat of those of the trees and the rivers and the fishes and the animals, and therefore you are a nuisance, and you must be housed. In other words, you're being put in the zoo, the global zoos, called the cities, of where they're going to grow your food, and they're going to water it and fertilize it with your waste, okay? And you're going to die, okay? That's the plan, okay, to bring the population down to a sustainable level. And one of the sales pitches that they're working on for you to accept this as a normalized program, is that you will understand, because of the adequacy limits, the more people there are, we have to take those limited resources and spread them over so many people. With less people, you can have a better lifestyle because, well, we're splitting up the adequate resources to be sustainable to fewer people. These are truly, truly sick individuals, and they're running the show. What we need to do is round them up and put them in a cage. Okay? We were meant to be free. We were told to go forth and populate the world. We were told that we were given dominion. We were told that we were given dominion over the fishes, the air, the water, the seas, the seeds, the whole 9 yards. These idiots decide they want to play God, and that's why you don't have any real food left. What did they do with all the normal seed? They went and they stole it from us, our dominion, and put it in seed banks, telling it it's for our protection. They always sell you everything on safety and protection. So if there's some catastrophic event somewhere on the planet that would destroy the seed base, well, it's okay because they've taken all the seed and stored it up in these seed banks of which you do not have access to. Okay, so they took over the seed, they gave you Monsanto. Ooh, I love science. Those are our seeds. These are our lands. These are our resources. They do not belong to Timothy Gartner or Summers or anybody that calls themselves a president or a prime minister or a statesman of any country anywhere. These belong to the people. Administered by the people, for the people. Not by the corporation, for the corporation. Take all these corporations and shove them where the sun don't shine. We're being bled under the auspices of goodness. Give to the Red Cross. Give to this foundation. Give to that foundation. Meanwhile, all the directors of these foundations and the chairmen of these foundations are living high on the hog off of what? Your donations. They don't create anything except trouble. Take them to the kangaroo courts, yeah. Exactly. If they can have a kangaroo court, we can have a kangaroo court. Haul them in here, you're amoral son of a bitch, you're going in a cage. And where do we get authority to do that? Well, we're the moral people. And we're the good people, you're the bad people. I guess we all don our white hats now, huh? But when you look at who's controlling everything, it's really a very tiny group of people. But then because they give other people jobs, their useful idiot army, right? Because they've set it up because you can't do anything unless you're involved with them. So basically, we are all accessories to the crime. Because they've connected all of us to their system that they built. And we're all helping conduct our own demise. And that's just plain stupid. And we're going to have to come to grips with that. But we're not going to fix it overnight. But we are going to fix it. I got no doubt in my mind we're going to fix it. Because somebody's got to ultimately win this. This can't continue like this. Somebody ultimately has to win this. And it's either going to be us or them. Now, somebody told me about I don't know what the movie was called, something about grasshoppers and ants and it. So, finally the grasshoppers figure out, wait a minute, or the ants figure out finally that there's just a few grasshoppers and there's a whole swack of ants. Why are we putting up with this nonsense? Well, they understand that, okay? The Geithners and all these people, they're the grasshoppers. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, Kissingers, all those people, they're the grasshoppers. Sitting there making us ants bust our tails to support them. Without our support, they don't exist. They can't exist without our support. And they see the ants catching on now. The ants are staring at these guys pretty damn hard now, going, you know what, grasshopper? Let me look this over. However many people's on the planet, you say 7 billion or whatever, but I wouldn't trust their data as far as I could chuck it, but whatever, let's use their numbers, 7 billion people or whatever. 7 billion ants. Looking at a few grasshoppers. Words got back to the grasshoppers. The ants are talking amongst themselves, guys. The ants are getting this crap figured out. And that's one of the major reasons for depopulation. It has nothing to do with Save the Planet. It's called Save the Grasshoppers. Okay? The less ants there are, the more chance the grasshoppers having continuing to control everything. So they tell you they need to drop the population down to anywhere from 2 billion tops down to 500 million, somewhere in between, that the grasshoppers can continue to hold control. That's what the depopulation program's about. That's what about the hoarding of people into the cities is about. Okay? It's easier to make a whole lot of people sick, especially when you're bringing them in from every other country. Look what happened to the Native American people, okay? Their immune systems were not in position to save them from diseases that their systems had never seen before. They were wide open for death. And you can bet your bottom dollar that's why they're bringing in so many people from so many different countries. Okay, with diseases, all these are basically made up diseases, but, are we going to have a big Ebola freak out here in the West? Okay, and then they'll blame it on somebody that came into the country and so on and so forth. And then the WHO, the WHO, United Nations, which is all set up by these guys, they take control of your health. It's just going to disintegrate. Okay? They don't need to bomb us, and they can't bomb us because it doesn't make any sense. It's impossible for them to justify the bombing of the West when it's been the West bombing everybody else. Okay, the only ones that really have the capacity to bomb us would be Russia, but they're members of the G20. So they're on side. They're members of the United Nations. They're a player. Okay, this nonsense of Putin, give it up, people. Give your head a freaking shake and pull your head out of your ass. Okay, these are all players. We got to quit being fools. And the ants need to put their little feet down. Hey, grasshopper, suck air, my friend. We're on to you. Like I said, somebody's going to win this. I suggest it be us. And I don't have no problem with the Indian, and I ain't got no problem with the East Indian, and I ain't got no problem with a white man, and I ain't got no problem with a black man, I ain't got no problem with a yellow man. Why did we live where we lived? Separate. In our own societies. And if it hadn't been for the lawyers and the bankers that come out of England and the Vatican and the bureaucracy that was formulated in France, the black man would still be in his black country, the yellow man would still be in his yellow country, and so on and so forth. And they would live in their own societies, and we would trade with each other. We wouldn't interfere with each other, and we'd all get along. But if we all got along, then they couldn't create the chaos required for them to get their final empire. And that's got to change. We got to put this back right somehow. You know, I'm sure it's the same in the States. I mean, I have Alex up here this weekend from Brampton, which I don't recognize as the country I grew up in at all. I didn't see, I got along fine with everybody. I was just down there for a bit, but it's not the people that's the problem. It's the controllers, the chaos creators. That's the problem. But what, we were talking about, and I said, I see these people integrating. No, they're not integrating. Okay, they're basically building an East India Company within the city and an Asian country within the city. These are all blocks of people that came from somewhere. He said so many of them don't even speak English. He said you can go into stores now and the people behind the counter don't speak English. Well, how's that possible? Right? Well, it's all designed, right? It's all designed, and it's a breakup of our societies by these idiots. And we got to put it right. If you come into my country and you can't speak my language, then don't come here till you can speak it. I'm not going to teach. I'm not going to spend my fellow countrymen's wages to teach you to speak English when I don't need you here in the first place. We already got enough unemployment. So you ain't coming here. If you don't have something good to bring here, you ain't coming here. Period. And if you're not prepared to integrate and follow our society or become part of our society, and you're going to try and jive your society or your religions or whatever down our throat and say we must succumb to that, I think you're in the wrong building. Because if you come into my house and starting to tell me I got to follow the rules of your house, we're not going to get along real good. And you're going to be heading out the door faster than you think. You do not come to my home and try to impose your way of doing things into my home. And that's what this multiculturalism is all about. Tearing down your house. Changing your house rules. And we can't allow it, but we just seem to keep on backing up. So again, we have nobody to blame but ourselves, What we should be doing is arresting all of these dicks that call themselves our representatives. But, you can't just go and round up, like a few people can't go and round up a few people. It ain't going to play well. It's going to backfire. And I am absolutely adamant to ask people not to do that yet. Okay? You get the militia groups and that going, and the Bundy situation is a perfect example. That was an ill-planned, nonsensical, goofy situation there. I mean, when you look at it from a logical set of eyes, it made no sense whatsoever. I realized what they were attempting to do, and my hat's off to them for that, but they pulled the trigger way too soon. So all that does is backfire. They're sitting in jail now. What good are you there? Okay? Now your families don't have their men in that. That doesn't help anybody out. It wasn't done properly. And And so what happens? You get the kickback, right? And that's exactly what these grasshoppers want you to do. Take a few ants, go take a little building, hold it up so the media can call them all, these ants are terrorists. They're trying to destroy our nation, and turn the people against them. So that is basically what not to do. Okay? We're not there yet. Now, when you got these million-man marches and that, now that makes sense. Okay? That makes perfect sense. Now you've got the bodies. A couple dozen guys can't pull this off. They will get run over, shot up, jailed, and bastardized, and anybody that has the same thought process will be bastardized as a domestic terrorist. We're not the domestic terrorist. We are the law. Now, you have a million-man march headed for D.C., which is 10 stupid square miles. You walk in there and you take it over. You shut it down. You jail everybody in the administration that you can get your paws on because they're going to run like scared cats. Then you got your country back. Get the media while you're at it. Simple matter of saying, you know, we enter. This is how stupefied people have become. We now interrupt this programming to let you know that America is now back in the hands of the people. We now return you to your regular broadcast program. And that's the end of it. Because that's how disjointed most people are. What was that about, Edna? I don't know. I think they took over the White House. Oh. Well, I wish they would have done it later. They did it right in the middle of my program here. And then you've normalized your lands again. That fast. That freaking fast. And nobody's coming after you. That's how the ants take it from the grasshoppers. The ants don't take it from the grasshoppers with 10 or 12 ants. And again, you don't need 1 million ants either. But you need a sufficient number of ants that when it comes back to the hands of the ants where it belongs, that there's no pushback from the grasshoppers. They've lost. And then, and only then, can we get back to a moral society, moral law, a place where your children, you're happy to send your children to the educators because they're actually people that are giving knowledge to the children, because you know who they are and you control them. And you're in law, not some fictional, nonsensical, legal, amoral enslavement camp. And that's all we're in. We're in an enslavement camp. They enslaved the ants, and you are the ant. And I know it's tough, but, you know, oh, there's nothing we can do about it. We're just ants. Well, like I said, something's going to break here. And if we break it properly, there's going to be very, 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 very little loss of life. And it should go down very smoothly. And those who have killed so many and harmed so many will be rounded up and incarcerated and hopefully put on display as a zoo attraction, and where people can come and see those who caused all this harm and angst on this planet for so long. Put them on displays so that people think twice about doing this garbage again. And then once it's done, one must be diligent at all times. And that goes back to my rooster story. The rooster was supposed to look after the hen house. Simple job, really. Pretty simple job. Keep an eye on the house there, Mr. Rooster. Make sure the weasels and the foxes don't get in the house, because once they get in the house, they're going to cause all kinds of trouble. And somewhere, the rooster has let us down. And the rooster is us. We didn't protect the house. And the weasels and the foxes got in the house and took control of it. And that's why we are where we are today. And we just got to go back and take the house back. The foxes and the weasels are not a brave group. They're sneaky as hell, but they're not brave. You know, if a bunch of roosters went to the hen house and there's the foxes and the weasels in it, and the roosters come in there cawing and crowing and carrying on, I'll guarantee you the weasels and the foxes ain't going to hang around. They're going to get the hell out of there. Pissed off rooster can take a good chunk out of a fox and or a weasel. You put a bunch of pissed off roosters in there, them weasels is going to run. Because that's what they are. They're weasels. They're sneaky little critters. Just like the foxes. They don't want to get in a fight. They just want to get what they can get with no resistance. And we haven't given them any resistance. We opened the door to the house and said, come on in, take what you want. Well, they came in and they took everything. It turned you into a slave. So, we've got to move them on out of the house. I mean, one of my favorite stories, and I repeat this stuff a lot. Yes, I do. But I do it because hopefully it makes some sense to someone. You know, when they went up and burned down the legislative building on the East Coast in so-called early Canada, what did we do? Or not we, me. What did they do? They just said, well, you burned down ours, we're coming down to burn you out. And it was a lot of work back then. You just didn't get on a plane and fly down, okay? You had to hike it down there. But they did, because you don't come up and burn our stuff down. But they were quite nervous going down there because they were expecting to meet some pretty heavy-duty resistance. And when they got down to the White House, they were absolutely surprised. There was nobody there. Everybody ran away. Why did they run away? Because they're weak. They're sneaky. They're foxes and weasels. They're not fighters. They're not fighters. You know they're not fighters because if you look, how many of these politicians and that, did they join the army? No. Hell, did they go to the wars? Hell no. Right? They coerce the other people to go to the wars, do their scrapping for them. But weasels and foxes aren't real brave animals. They're sneaky, but they're not real brave. They're not real strong. Right? So instead of sending all our young men and women overseas to work and do the bidding of these weasels and these foxes and destroy other people's houses, we need to bring our people home. We got to point them in the right direction. They ain't fighting the right wars. The war is at home. Think about it. Look how big America is. Look how big Canada is. Okay? America is just slightly smaller than China. They got well over 1 billion people. America's population is at least 3 times, 4 times smaller than that of China. But land-wise, only slightly smaller. Well, not only does China manage to support its population, it's taken all the manufacturing. How stupid are we? A people that do not produce for themselves are doomed. It only makes sense. If you don't control your own production, that means you're dependent on somebody else's production. That means that production can end in the morning and you're going to be in some serious, serious trouble. Now, China's been around a hell of a lot longer than America. Got 4 times the population of America, got about the same land mass. America hasn't even begun to use its resources. You've been told there's no resources, but that's just control mechanisms. You need to be your own country, and you need to produce and provide for your own first. If you cannot do that, you cannot survive. It'll be a sorry frickin' day when the West falls. And I don't believe we're going to fall. I do believe we have the tenacity. I do believe we have the capacity. I do believe that our weak spines and our weak minds can be strengthened in time. Because our choices are pretty limited. We're either going to free ourselves and provide for ourselves, or we're going to be enslaved forever. You only got 2 choices. There's only one of them that's palatable. And again, we got nobody. If we blow this, we got nobody to blame. We can't blame the Geithners and the Volkners and the Kissingers and the Bushes and the Clintons and the Trudeaus and all of these. We can't blame them people. We have no right to blame them. We allowed it. We allowed it. We allowed the foxes and the weasels into the hen house and ignored them. Now, I do believe that, America was built on this idea. I could be wrong on this, right? I'm not an American historian. I read as much as I can, but my understanding is that the people had the duty to have militia. In fact, all the people were supposed to constitute the militia. And therefore, everyone is part of the militia, because the job of the militia is basically the same as the job as the rooster. Keep the weasels and the foxes the hell out of the house. And when you spot a weasel or a fox, you get it out of the house. Pronto. It's the job of the people being the militia, the people guarding the house. And we've got so far away from that, it's sad. But we can retrain ourselves, right? Instead of watching TV, it's a lot more. This is what you call the big game, right? Bottom of the ninth. You're either sitting in the dugout going, "We can't win this," or you sit in the dugout and say, "We're going to kick their ass." Somebody's going to win the game. And who wins the game is who makes the decision to win the game. It's time we made a decision to stop being what's the word I'm looking for? Audience at the game, and start participating in doing. We've been watching the game. We've not been involved in the game. You're not going to win the game if you ain't involved in it. You're going to lose by default. And that's what we've been in for so many decades is we've been in default. We ain't showed up to the damn game. I don't even know how we're still in the game, but we are. And it's time to bear down and say, we're going to win this damn game. If we don't win the game, somebody in history is going to go look back and go, how did they not win the game? How did they not win the game? They're all suffering from concussions or something? What the hell's going on here? How could they not possibly have won the game? And we don't want anybody in the future to read something like that or scratch their head and going, let me see now. That was my grandpa there. He had the opportunity to win the game, and he decided, nah, what the hell. And now me, I'm his slave forever. And now we're too few in numbers to fight back. You don't want to leave that legacy. You most definitely don't want to leave that legacy. So it's going to get real interesting over the next little while. It's getting more interesting every day, actually. And they're pushing as hard as they can to tie us down to as much international law as possible. So we got to start sticking up for each other. You can't turn a blind eye, okay? You just can't turn a blind eye. You got to get working in your own neighborhoods. I don't want to use the word community. Your own neighborhoods. You got to get down there. You got to start talking to your people. You know. If you see a cop beating up an old lady or old man or a kid, don't stand there. Right? Get over there and talk to that guy. You know, don't just put up with that. The guy's a thug. And he's hurting somebody. He has no right to do that. None. We have to get over this idea that they have this right to run around harming people. They have no right to do that. You got to get in their face. You got to explain to them what's going on. You tell them to get off of that old man or that old lady or that kid or whoever. Most of the people that get abused by the so-called police, the vast majority of the people who get abused by the police are not what you would call banditos or real troublemakers. Most of them haven't ever caused anybody any harm in their lives. You don't see the police over there arresting Rockefeller. You don't see them over there arresting Kissinger or the bankers, any of that. Why is that? Those are the real criminals. Those are the ones that are really hurting people. And this needs to be explained to your local police forces. We need them on site. We don't need them on site. I mean, really, there's not enough of them to really worry about. But they need to be made fully aware that they are in the same boat we are. They're an ant. Unfortunately, they're a deranged ant because they're working for, they're protecting their slave owner. That's a dumbass ant, man. That is a really stupid ass ant. Those ants are the same as you. They have families, they have problems, they're trying to pay bills, and yada, yada, yada. They are enslaved just as deeply as you are, but to have these people put on a uniform and then do the bidding of the grasshopper makes no sense to anybody. And it shouldn't make any sense to them. I don't think most of them understand what they're involved in. We have to become the educators. Okay, we have to become the knowledge bearers. And we have to spread it far and wide. But the easiest place to deal with it is not bitching about the upper administration. You can't touch them. You do your best work with where you have easy access, which is your neighborhood. Okay? Just pretend the rest of the world doesn't exist and concentrate on your neighborhood. Take a good hard look at what's going on at your city hall and how they're implementing the international globalist agendas into your community. Take a good hard look at that. Sit down with your folks at a coffee house. Explain it to them. That's where you do your best work, where you live, where you know other people, where you have access to the people in your neighborhood. And get them thinking. Start strengthening their minds and their spines. And I think you will see that we have a vast, vast army, which is just a whole bunch of neighborhoods, all being hammered and hurt in the same fashion. Every single neighborhood in every nation is under the same threat. The neighborhood is the power in the country, not the executive branch. The neighborhood is the power base. Okay? They just conned us into believing that because they sit in a bigger house, that they're the ones that have the power. They have no power. When they send to the neighborhood, I want you to do this in the neighborhood, and the neighborhood says, you know what? Bite me. Well, you can't do that. Well, no, it's a little difficult for one neighborhood to do it. 1,000 neighborhoods, a whole different ballgame. Just like one ant, the grasshopper will squish it. Whole bunch of ants, the grasshopper's going, damn, I'm in trouble. And that's what we need to show them, that they are in trouble. We ain't backing down. And we're going to take this fight, and we're going to get back that house, which means we got our neighborhoods, which means we got freedom, which means you throw the legal system out and install law. Nobody our lands unless they are prepared to be part of our neighborhood. They're not coming here to change our neighborhood. You're coming here to be part of our neighborhood. I got no problem with that. But if you have any other desire than to be part of the neighborhood, then we ain't got no place for you in our neighborhood, because immediately you become a danger to the people in our neighborhood, and we ain't putting up with it. So hit the road, Jack. And don't you ever come back. Anyways, we're running out of time here. Been rambling all day. Hope I said something that resonates with somebody out there. And I want to just give a heads up for Hal, who's going to be on deck here at 3 o'clock. And hopefully Hal will continue with the fact that we're putting him on deck, that this is the bottom of the ninth, and we got a game to win. So I want to thank everybody for listening. I would encourage everyone to go to Muckabee. Is it Muckabee or Muckatee? I never remember that. Just let me look that up real quick. Wherever it went to here, I think it's Muckatee, isn't it? Where the hell did I lose that at? Muckatee. Muckety. Why? Muckatee. Everybody go there and start looking at these maps, connect the dots, check out who these people are, check out who they're connected to. You'll be a whole lot wiser for it and a whole lot more pissed off about it, I hope. Anyways, 3 o'clock, Hal's on deck. Thank everybody for tuning in. The sun's out, still cold, but I think I'm going to go outside and get a little bit of sunshine with my parka on, and we'll be back here Tuesday night, 7 to 8 o'clock. Okay, take care, everybody. Have a wonderful day. We are out.
They shoot, they kill,